absolutely darlings this year. Like Vegas seems to think that they're taking a meteoric rise back to a much better team. It feels like people are just all over the bandwagon on it. Mike Vrabel has got everybody excited about football in New England. But Jory, I have questions. All right, I just think that maybe we need to be a little bit more patient. And one of my questions comes directly in the form of Drake Maye, who, by the way, in his rookie year, I thought had some really good moments. It was really, really good. But I guess my question for you is, when you look at the Patriots, what is your confidence level that Drake Maye, Josh McDaniels, Mike Vrabel are all just going to immediately kumbaya together, get on the same page, and tiptoe down the yellow brick road like they're headed to the Wizard of Oz?
Well, Fitz, you definitely just solved a mystery for me, which is why was our colleague Frank Schwab so high on Monday's episode on the Patriots? And it's because he's a betting man in Vegas is high on them. So that's definitely the source of his confidence. So thank you for clarifying that one for me. I would say, look, I think Drake Maye has a lot of potential, and I'm not saying that he can't figure it out. I think my question is Josh McDaniels' offense ideally setting up Drake Maye for success? Because when I talk to people there, I'm talking to everyone from Josh Dobbs, who's a veteran quarterback who's played in different systems, to center Garrett Bradbury coming from the Minnesota Vikings and Kevin O'Connell's system, to the quarterback's coach, Ashton Grant, who most recently was in Cleveland. So those are three different guys, for context, but played and coached for different organizations in this league and seen what it's like for quarterbacks elsewhere. And pretty much all of them, to a T, said that this is an offense that asks more of the quarterback. The quarterback pre-snap is responsible for more in Josh McDaniels' offense than in any of those offenses that I was just mentioning. And so this is where he's got to identify the Mike linebacker. He's got to call out the protections in the fronts. He's got to figure out where he wants his slide his protection to. And I will get in a minute to why that is a positive. But before we explain why it's positive, does that not concern you at all that this is Drake Maye, who's barely played NFL football, and all of a sudden, despite having Garrett Bradbury, a veteran center in there, we're asking him to do all of this and put all of this additional stuff on his plate?
It concerns me wildly. Like, look, the answer most Patriots fans give is, well, look at Mac Jones. Like, the best year he had was with Josh McDaniels. So it can be done. Josh McDaniels can go out and translate to a young quarterback. And I hear that, but also I happen to know somebody that was a quarterback for the Patriots at one point, and he reiterated what you said. When he stuck around that team year in and year out, he said, it took me so long to learn this offense, I didn't want to go anywhere. And then I know somebody that was a wide receiver that was in the league for over a decade. And when he played for the Patriots for a short time, he's the one that came back and said, look, I played in the league for a long time. And Josh McDaniels' offense is like a foreign language, even if you played in the league for a long time. So I just think part of the reason that, Josh, it can be brilliant and he's a great offensive mind. But part of the reason I think we have to be a little bit hesitant here is that you are asking a ton of processing new language. You're asking for a ton of information to come through this quarterback position. And Drake Maye certainly could be capable of it. I just think the grace of a little bit of a curve here isn't the worst thing. I feel like everybody just presumes McDaniels, Mike Vrabel together, and we've just decided that this is going to be some glorious moment. And I'm just not willing to say that until we see it together. And I think even if it is glorious, it's okay to admit that it could take a little bit of time before it actually gels together.
Yeah, I think you're totally right on the terminology element and the communication element. And that was definitely something I was hearing from a lot of people in New England. And the counterpoint to what I said is this idea that actually it's better for a young quarterback to call out the protections and to identify the mic, because then the quarterback knows exactly where he's strongly protected and exactly where he's weak. And the Patriots do have a lot of confidence that Drake Maye is high football IQ, high cerebral, et cetera, all of the compliments. I just think that even if you have that, my concern, and the Patriots will tell you, look, Mac Jones did well in this offense. So if Josh McDaniels could do it with a rookie Mac Jones, and if you really want to know, someone did tell me there that Mac Jones made the Pro Bowl, even if it was an alternate. And I'm like, all right, we should consider what laurels we should be resting on and which we shouldn't. But that is for another day. I just think that it doesn't seem necessary to ask that much of a quarterback. Like when I started my career in Dallas, I would say one of the things that really helped Dak Prescott at the beginning of his career is that Travis Frederick was the center, and he was taking so much off Dak's plate and making sure that the line was on the same page and telling Dak certain things about the defense if Dak hadn't figured it out yet. And it's not that Dak couldn't, it's just that for any player getting used to the speed of the game or a new offense, as Drake Maye is doing in his second year, the less you have to think about, the more quickly you could play, the more clearly, in my opinion, you could see the defense and you could read the field and go through your progressions. I don't get the sense that that's setting it up for that. And so I guess we'll see. But I do worry that Josh McDaniels is so rooted in the success he had with Tom Brady that these guys who have played with or coached a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers or all of that. And by the way, Elliott Wolf, their general manager, did have Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay for a while. So he sees what happens when you've got that quarterback. Start to think that that is what you can expect from the average quarterback. And I'm not calling Drake Maye average, but no one's suggesting that he has the games under his belt or the playoff wins under his belt that Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers had. And I think that both of these leaders, that being their offensive coordinator and their general manager, are somewhat operating through that lens.
Even last summer when I was with Mac Jones in Jacksonville as part of a Rivals high school recruiting event, Mac talked about how it was an advantage for him coming into New England and already having an understand. There were some similarities in terms and systems that he felt like he carried over from college that he thought really helped him that first year, right? Like, we don't know that Drake Maye had any of that. In fact, when we were doing our draft prep, you start talking to people around the North Carolina football team. One thing that was told to me specifically is that offense in its concept was very simple. It was a find green grass offense, is what one college football mind told me. And that's essentially, hey, we're going to both find the open spot. We're going to throw the ball. That's far different than what Josh McDaniels asks his quarterbacks to do. It doesn't mean that Drake Maye's not capable. It's just, I love proof of concept. And I just don't know right now what proof of concept we have for the way that this is all going to fit together. And it feels like part of this comes because Josh has had tremendous success as an offensive coordinator. Yes, we all know that. But also it comes because people just give Mike Vrabel so much benefit of the doubt. And I feel like Mike Vrabel has at some point become a little bit like a fishing story where, yeah, you caught a fish. Like, his time at Tennessee was good, and there were some really good teams in there. But his time in Tennessee is being at some points propped up like the organization was the worst organization in all of the land. And somehow Mike Vrabel came in with the Herculean lift and dragged them up to the number one seed in the AFC. And I think that's a little bit false too. Like, he went to the playoffs with the Derrick Henry team that, look, it was able to really run the football, and that was special and that was amazing. But my God, like, there isn't a Derrick Henry in New England. So I think we've pieced together a lot of different things that we're just presuming are going to work for New England. And to me, that becomes really dangerous, Joey, because we're taking the best right now today. Everyone's giving the best of the benefit of the doubt to Vrabel, with the best of the benefit of the doubt to Josh McDaniels, and the best of the benefit of the doubt all at the same time to Drake Maye. I can't stack all of those things together at once and say, yes, this is going to work. That just feels like there's too many variables there that could be at least complicated enough that there's more growing pains in New England. And by the way, when you've gone from being as bad as they've been the last few years, there should be growing pains. Like, I feel like we'll be looking at the Patriots at the end of the year if they win 7 games and treating it like it was a disastrous season. And I instead say, hey, if you can rise to the point that you're a 7 or 8 win team and you're on the cusp of being in playoff contention next year, considering where they've been, I think that's pretty successful.
Yeah, and I will say that while I agree with you, Fitz, that everyone outside of the building, or a lot of people outside of the building, are trying to prop up the Patriots as playoff contender now, forgetting the fact that we still have the Buffalo Bills in their division last I checked. I do think that the Patriots are a little more realistic, and they recognize that this is going to take some time to rebuild the foundation. Also, as much as it feels like, oh, Mike Vrabel just has this homecoming, this isn't a guy who's been on the coaching staff and just got promoted the way that Jori Maye has. Like, he hasn't been at the organization for 17 years, and he's never coached in New England, and coaching somewhere is different than playing somewhere, even if you do have some understanding of how Robert Kraft operates and how the organization operates. And there's a couple familiar faces in the building, and I think Josh McDaniels, as an assistant or like a quality control guy, picked up Mike Vrabel from the airport for his workout initially. So yes, there are some faces that you already know, but this is not like Mike Vrabel's just sliding into a position that he's already held at this specific organization. So I would say that when I talk to the coaches, it's much more like, hey, how can we preach physicality, toughness, focus, intensity, violence. They kept talking about violence. I'm like, it's so funny as someone who didn't grow up super around the game of football. I'm not used to people like speaking so positively about violence, but I do understand it has a role in the game of football, and I guess that's better than elsewhere, but that's another story. I would just say that this is a team that seems more about let's build this thing the right way than let's build it the other way. And while I agree with your point that there's no Derrick Henry in Tennessee, I do think that Travion Henderson is going to surprise people this season, and I think that he is going to help Drake Maye and going to help this offense and kind of make them right in ways when maybe the passing concepts could take a little bit more time to develop.
Yeah, I don't